Welcome to Empowered to Grow, the podcast. I am your host, Hanan and Basha, the business doctor. Following our conversations with empowered women who woke up one day and consciously claimed, I am more than enough, I am worthy, I am empowered to grow. And along their empowering journey towards realizing their own potential and their quest for growth, they became a beacon of hope and guidance for others. May you also find your inner power to grow. Welcome back, everyone. This is our Unchartered discussion of Empowered to Grow. This is your host, Hanan and Basha, and I still have the beautiful, energetic, joyful friend of mine, Lamya Tawfik.
Hi, Hanan.
So there was something that came up as we were discussing and in the first episode, and it was like, you learned Italian. And I think that, and you learned it as an adult, you had no, as we were saying, you had no need to learn it. So it wasn't a job related, it wasn't travel related or anything. You just decided one day, I'm going to learn Italian. And you said you spent 2.5 years going to classes, actually structured classes to learn the language. And you just summed up a play in Italian, actually, 2 days ago, right?
That was my fifth Italian play.
Exactly.
Actually.
And that is the thing. I think that sometimes we get stuck with, I must do this for whatever reason, versus I want to do this. And we don't need to have a reason to follow a hunch, follow our gut, follow a passion, follow a dream. And that's the part. So what was your story and what was your path in learning Italian?
So when I was at uni again, my roommate at the hostel that I was staying in the dorms, my roommate made me hear a song, an Italian song, and she spoke Italian, I didn't. And she said, you're not going to understand it, but just enjoy the music. Mm-hmm. And I loved it so much, the music, that I said, well, you need to translate this for me. And she's like, oh no, it's too long. So what happened was, while she slept, I stole her CD. I went into the lab and I copied the words, the lyrics. Remember those CDs that had the paper in them?
Yeah.
And I wrote down all the lyrics. I double spaced it, printed it out. I went back and I said, now you gotta translate this.
Oh my God.
And when she did,
that's determination.
I was like, I'm going to learn this language someday. Now, I started years later, maybe a decade later, but I started. And Italian to me was just something that was so beautiful. And it was art. Yeah. The way it sounds. And I was like, I would watch Italians speak and I would say, okay, I want to do that with my mouth.
Yeah. Agreed, 100%.
That was me. And so I had no motive per se, because actually people around me would say, why are you learning Italian? Because they're thinking, how are you ever going to, or like, it's not like people learn French or German because they want to work with it or something like that, you know. People learn an additional language because they want to use it for work or for something, right? But for them, it was like, Italians, who speaks Italian? Only Italians speak Italian. I was like, that's not true. There is that one region in Switzerland. But to me, it wasn't about the utility of the language. Now, what turns out that years later, I ended up working with Italian. So I've done a lot of translation work in Italian. I used to do a lot of consecutive interpreting in Italian, in the last few years. And so I've actually ended up working with it. But it wasn't my intention. My intention was I really enjoy this language. And so when I started acting and I got the opportunity to perform in Italian, I jumped on it. Yeah, I was like, yeah, why not? You know? And I did 5 full-length plays in Italian. The recent one, like you said, we just wrapped up a couple of days ago. And nothing gives me more joy than hearing Italians tell me, did you live in Italy? Do you have Italian relatives? And, you know, me inside of like bubbling in me. Because it was so hard, like learning Italian was so difficult. It was yeah.
And
it
that's a
wasn't
beautiful
easy.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think like I shared with you that I started to learn Spanish last year. I've always had this thing as well with Spanish. And Spanish is also very widespread. And I've got a lot of friends who use Spanish or iterations of Spanish. And I'm like, okay, I'd like to have a conversation. Well, that was one of the pandemic activities for me that hasn't followed through. I still, in my mind, I'm still committed to going back and completing that. And Italian was the next on my list. I'm like, I have to. It's like bellissima, it's like there's something that goes with the accent. It's just like, it's beautiful. I want it.
It is.
I want the food.
It is.
I love the country. I love the language. I want it all.
Oh my God, totally. I was in love with Italy before even visiting Italy. I was like, I'm gonna have so much fun, and I did. And there's something about Italians are so much like us in the sense that they're
Mediterranean blood.
very Mediterranean, very energetic, and they're just lovely people. I love being around them, and I love their language, their culture. So when I learned Italian, all my classmates were learning it for a purpose.
Yeah.
They were either working in tourism. In Egypt, a lot of people work in tourism, and we have a lot of Italian tourists.
Mhm.
And so they were either, learning it for work, or for any other reason, But for me, I was the only one who was just there because this is so much fun.
But that's
yay, homework. I would be like, yay, homework, and they'd be like, what?
You're like Monica and Friends. He was like, I just convinced him to give us a test,
Oh my God, yeah, because I remember in one of the classes, the teacher would always give us like an essay to write. And one day he forgot to say, here's the essay for the next class. And I was like, and for me, it was such a natural thing to ask. But I got glares like,
you're
daggers.
that person. Yeah, we forgot the essay.
I was like, excuse me, what about the essay? And he's like, oh yes, of course. So this is, and everyone just looked at me like, are you serious?
But you know what, for me, and that's a beautiful thing is, first, it's never too late. Second, you can do whatever you set your heart and mind to. And third, when we're talking specifically about languages as well, it is a beautiful way to connect from people all over the world.
Absolutely. You have no idea. Traveling in Italy while speaking Italian is a game changer. It's a game changer because I connect with everyone. I speak with everyone. Everyone has a story to tell or wants to hear my story. And it's just incredible. I've taken recipes of fruit and vegetable vendors. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I walk into these markets and, and people just talk to me about, someone asked me if I had Zahi Hawas's number. And I was like, do you know how many we are in Egypt? I was like, no, I don't have it. Maybe it's in my Egyptian SIM card. It's so funny because they want to talk to you and they'll ask you things, like, it was just, it's just an incredible feeling to travel,
connect and to
connect
with that
travel.
Yeah.
And
I love that too. And as you said, like, especially when you say you're Egyptian and then the heritage part comes up and the ancient Egyptians and the pyramids, and I'm like, oh my God, this is on my bucket list. Yeah, please do.
Totally.
Don't visit this time, visit next time. And these are the timings and stuff. And I think that is a gift that sometimes we just forget, that, and a gift and a blessing and an obvious thing, that we're all yearning connection. And we were all created to be connected. Absolutely. And it is in our power to be able to connect on deeper levels and to connect from a way that has a space that has no judgment, a space that has no predisposed ideas. It's human to human.
And it's with a focus on what is common between us and not necessarily what is different. And even when we speak about what is different, it's to sort of celebrate those differences. So because we would really be very boring, as a human race if we were all the same.
True. Imagine how many billion people looking the same, like acting the same, having the same tradition.
Exactly, which is so boring. But the fact that we're so different and that we're able to connect with this difference and to share ideas, share info. One of the most interesting things that happened to me in Italy was when I went to a place called Aci Castello, which is near Catania in Sicily. I went to see the castle there, and the guardian of the castle asked me where I was from. And I said, Egypt. And he said, oh, Egypt, you're just going to say Egypt and just walk right through. And I was like, yeah, have you been? And he's like, no, but I want to hear a song for Kulthum.
Oh,
and I was like, the most random thing. And he's like, come on, sing for me something from Kulthum. And I said, okay, yeah, that's not happening. Let me just find
Let me find it for you, but sorry.
I found the song for him. And then he was like, tell me what it says. And I translated the words. And then he said, okay, I'm going to tell you a poem that I wrote. That's the most randomest thing ever. And then he told me a poem that he wrote. Then he let me in, and he didn't make me pay the entrance fee. And he asked his kids to give me a guided tour inside. And then we had ice cream later. Because I speak their language, and because we were able to connect, and because we connected over music or over art,
And amazingly, that's how you fell in love with Italian in the first place. But now this is on the other side. This is someone who fell in love with an Egyptian song and wanted you to translate. So
exactly.
It comes around. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. I'm getting tears now because I get very touched by these stories. It's
sorry.
For me, it's about that. It's about how we and yes, I've been called naive. I've been called seriously, but if we do consciously think of how alike we are, and as you framed it beautifully, and celebrate our differences, because there's an extension that we can learn and we can absorb and we can grow with, then I think the world will be a much more beautiful place for us to live in.
Yeah, happier, calmer, and more empathetic, I feel. Because at the end of the day, I think that, excuse me, at the end of the day, I think that we all have the same issues.
Yeah,
I think.
That's what I said.
If you walk down the street, and if there was a bubble over everyone's head, you would probably see recurring themes. Right? You probably see things that are similar, and there's a story behind every person. And sometimes we forget that, and we just look at how they look or how they dress, and and take a stance based on that. But the bottom line is we're all really very similar. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm gonna end with this beautiful message of how we're all similar, and how it's beautiful that we're all different. And how we can consciously transform the lives around us by just being more empathetic and kinder, and really just look out for each other, I think.
Talk.
Yeah.
If you just talk, you'll be amazed at what you'll
find again.
Yeah, I just talk. Oh my.
Thank you, my friend. This was beautiful and enriching again.
I love this. I love this. Let's do it again. I like it again.
Yes, definitely. We have to.
I want to ask you questions next.
Ooh, okay.
Role reversal.
Let's plan for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hanan. This is amazing.
Thank you, my friend. Well, I think that's the bottom line. We've already said it. I'm not going to repeat it, but I think it starts with you. Be kinder to you. be more understanding of you, be more empathetic of you, and communicate. Speak up, speak your mind, speak your voice, speak your heart, and come from a place of compassion, come from a place of love, and come from a place of understanding. I wish you love, abundance, and prosperity. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Grow podcast. For further engagement with a tribe of empowered women, join my Facebook group, Empowered to Grow, or visit my website, www.hananalbasha.com. I'll catch you on the next episode. And until then, know that empowered you empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all.